So guys, I have this video here from Farhan that is called "Huge Changes Are Needed in 0.3 to Save Leagues," and he has in here in the thumbnail the 2000 Exalted to 1 Divine ratio. If you have not been playing Path of Exile 2 right now, this is the price for 1 Divine in Exalted. 2000 Exalted. This inflation is out of control. And of course, I see this and I want to watch this video to see what is his suggestion to fix this. And I have watched his videos before and they are really good. So let's see what he has to say in here, dude.
2,200 hours. That's how long it's taken me to formulate these opinions. Now, some...
Hey, that is the Diablo 2 music. That is Diablo 2 music. Bass, cool music.
people might look at me and say, well, if it's taken you that long, you're probably a bit slow, and you might be correct, but nonetheless, I've done
That is a good start. That is a good start.
it now, and I've got some opinions. And today I'd like to talk about 5 things, or 5 or 6 things really, 2 of them blend together, that really I feel need to change in this game. That shouldn't be huge sweeping changes. It's not stuff like they need to release the campaigns, they need to release this class. These are problems with the game as it functions as a league, problems with the...
This is a good distinction, because yes, we want new content. The game is on release, it is unfinished, we want new content. But there are also things that are ingrained in the philosophy of the game design, right? That is not related to new content, but it's related to how the game functions. For example, how towers work. You could also say, no, these are placeholders that are going to be fixed as new content is added. That is also true. For example, crafting, they have said that crafting is going to change a lot while they add more stuff. But again, it is cool to have the distinction between how things work and just new content.
game as it functions as an endgame, and just sweeping problems between the balance of character builds. But let's get right on into it. We're going to start off talking about the state of this economy. First and foremost,
It is dog shit. It is uber dog shit.
then I think the number one problem that I've seen, particularly when it comes to player retention, is the state of this economy. You'll see behind my head somewhere over there, you should see some things happening.
That is insane. 2,000 Exalted to 1 Divine, brother. Motherfucker. If I go back to play in PoE 2 right now, I can't afford shit. There is no way I can afford something. I will have to sell all my gear on my old characters to try to recoup something and try to build one character. Some bullshit like that.
On the screen, we're probably looking at the Exalt prices right now, trading at somewhere around 2,000 Exalts to a Divine. This inflation has been rampant from the start. It started off 4 or 5 Exalts to a Divine. End of week 1, I think it was somewhere close to 80 already, and that has been rampant throughout. What this does actually mean is that casual players, they're never going to be able to keep up. You take a weekend away and you can't get your trades done.
Exactly. You have to do what... And if they don't change anything for 0.3 regarding this, what I suggest you guys do is don't save up your currency in Exalted Orbs. Save in Chaos Orbs or Divine Orbs if you can in Divines, right? If you still don't have enough money for Divines, save up in Chaos Orbs. They hold their value more than the fucking Exalted. That is my advice. Unless they change fundamentally something in the game to address this situation. Because if you step, how he's saying in here, if you save up in Exalted, you step away for a week, for a couple of days, for a week from the game, and you come back, your Exalteds are worth nothing. Or maybe they are worth something, but you lost a bunch of money in that process, right? So to mitigate it, Chaos Orbs and Divine Orbs.
Well, you're stuffed because you missed 2 days of trades. Now all the prices have changed. Inflation's gone rampant. You've got to reprice everything. You've got 2 hours to play. Half an hour of it's going to be spent repricing, maybe more. Or you're just not going to bother, and you're never going to get those divines that you need to build your character up. So you're just going to stop playing. So
Agree with that point. Agree with that point.
I think the economy is hit by really mainly 2 things. We've probably got the Exalt to Mirror, Divine to Mirror price up on screen right now. And that's probably looking at somewhere close to around 2,000, 3,000, I think. Which is just, you know, no one's going to be able to afford this unless you've been playing all League or your endgame crafting. That's how I think this is fixed. Now, hopefully, should be seeing a picture of something that should fix this. Something like a crafting bench where you can dump out early currencies, where you can spend 15, 50 exalts to have a deterministic trade, and it helps to suck that out the economy, which helps to keep inflation down. The other
Exactly. They will have to introduce, I don't know if the crafting bench, because it seems that they don't want to put the crafting bench in PoE 2. And I do want them to put it, but not as powerful and as deterministic as in PoE 1. I want a crafting bench in PoE 2, but with changes. More simple or simpler, right? And not as deterministic. But if you don't do the crafting bench, still they have to do an Exalted Orb sync. They have to do a way to sync not only Exalteds, all currencies. But right now, the biggest problem is with Exalted Orbs, for sure. But Divine Orbs also need a sync. Some people say, no, Divine Orbs don't need a sync because we use them as currency and it doesn't matter. And the ratio, the 2,000 Exalteds to 1 Divine Orb ratio is because of Exalted inflation. And you are correct. That is why we need a sync for Exalteds. But we also have inflation in items. There are items that at the start of the league are in Divines. It's 1 Divine, and when the league progresses, it is 100 Divines. That is because Divines are also causing inflation. Divines also need their own sync.
The thing that would really help, offline trading. Just being able to buy things from someone from their stash, right? So you don't have to be online all the time to make...
They are already probably going to do something like this because they said that they are planning something akin close to an auction house. We don't know what they are cooking, but we know this is coming. Probably not for 0.3, but it is in Path of Exile's future.
These trades, it's really, really unfriendly, and it really hurts the economy. Next up, we got to talk about this build diversity. It is terrible. It was bad in League 1, where we had everyone basically playing Tempest Spell, Gemling, Legionnaire, or Spark Sorceress. And then this league, we've got a return of the Spark Sorceress in the form of a Blood Mage. Everything that we were playing that was good enough for endgame has been nerfed completely out of the game. And what they've added is Lightning Spear, which I think there's probably a graphic on the screen that side, not this side, showing that about 50% of players are playing that. We've got 4 Ascendancies holding 50% of all players, and yeah, everyone's using the same skills. If you look at the...
I will tell you something. This is a complex topic for me, because what he's saying is absolutely true. But at the same time, I do think there is build diversity in Path of Exile. There are a lot of builds that can complete all the content in the game. I didn't play Lightning Spear at all. I didn't play Blood Mage, and I completed all the content. I played a Tactician, I played a Pathfinder, I played a Warringer, and I played an Invoker Monk, not Ice Strike, but a Falling Thunder Monk. I completed all the content. There is build diversity in the game. The problem is that if you want to see it as a tier list, the gap between the S tier builds and the A tier builds, and we are assuming that A tier builds can still complete all the content, but then you have the S tier builds that obviously complete all the content, but they do it fast and easy. That is where the gap comes. Like, yes, you have build diversity in general for builds that are capable of doing the content, but the gap between those builds and the S tier builds in terms of efficiency, power, speed, easiness of doing it, budget, with less currency, you can build a character, then you don't have build diversity. So that is where you make the separation. I think that the second season had more diversity than the first season in terms of all the builds that can complete the content. But in terms of the S tier builds, it has less diversity. I hope I was able to paint the picture that I am trying to paint. What I'm trying to say is that things are not as bad as some people say, but are also not as good as some people say. We are somewhere in the middle.
Massive heat map. Everybody is on the evasion, lightning, crit side of the tree.
This is another thing. Fix armor, GGG, please, brother. Just fix armor for 0.3. If you are going to release the druid that is going to start over here, hybrid, energy shield, and armor, you have to fix armor because I don't want to go full energy shield. Full energy shield is for pussies. Just give me the armor so I can go truly hybrid, please.
Hardly anyone's playing anything else. This isn't healthy for the game. It's not healthy for the economy. It means everyone's chasing just the same rares with the same stats, and that's all that 50.
This is also true. This is like a collateral damage from the balance problem. The economy, you maybe find a cracked item for the that is armor evasion. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter if it is cracked because nobody's going to buy it because it is armor evasion. If it was evasion energy shield, hey, then it is a good item and then you can sell it, right? I understand this is always going to happen. There is always a meta game and there are always going to be items that are more valuable than others. I understand that this is unavoidable, this is inevitable, but at the same time, the gap between these two items can be closer, right? In PoE 1, the gap between these two items is closer. In PoE 2, it is like one is worthless and the other one is really fucking expensive. You have to try to close that gap.
50% of the players are even buying. And this isn't because that's the, well, it is because that's the only viable build for endgame. This forget everything you know nonsense. No. Tune down things that are broken. Don't remove them from the game entirely. I think it's fundamentally hurting the player base. I've played the one class. I've won the game with the one class. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not going to be able to achieve that greatness with anything else. It's an off-putting feeling. And I think that the way that things were nerfed, particularly things that were good in last league, Tempest Spell, Tempest Flurry, and the items that made those builds work, I think taking all of that out in one sweeping hit has done horrible things for the game. It doesn't feel like it's got as much diversity. It doesn't feel like it's got as many options as things that are actually viable into the end game this league. And I really do hope that trend doesn't continue, because if next league we're 60% people playing the same class because everything else has been nerfed and everyone's playing the one new thing, that's not going to be very fun.
I do agree fundamentally with what he's trying to say in terms of everybody playing the same build is not good, and that balance is important for a lot of things in the game, including the economy. But I don't agree with the approach that he's saying, which is don't nerf stuff. You have to absolutely nerf stuff. I am on the nerf everything train, personally. I am in disagreement with the people that is buff everything. Buff everything is insane. You have to think, yes, I know that being strong is fun. I know, dude. Being strong is fun. But if you keep buffing and you keep buffing and you keep buffing, what you do is power creep. And this will create a Diablo 3 situation, a Diablo 4 situation where you are doing trillions, quadrillions of damage. And then you have to balance the whole fucking game around these quadrillions of damage. It is not the way to go. It is better to have like a vision, I know, the vision, in quotes, the vision, of where our power level is supposed to be, and try to hit that balance with all the classes. If Lightning Speed was as weak as the other classes, there wouldn't be a problem. And if the other classes would be as powerful as Lightning Speed, there wouldn't be a problem either. But if then you buff everything else, then next league there will be one broken build again, and then you buff everything to be like that build, and then next league there is another one that is crazy, and you buff everything. After 3 leagues, everybody's cracked and everything, and you will still have a meta. This won't, by the way, this will never ever supplant a meta, substitute a meta game. There is always going to be a meta game. And again, I can cite Diablo 3 and Diablo 4. There is always a meta game and they are doing trillions of damage. And it is stupid as fuck. No. GGG is correct that the way to go is nerfing. And sometimes buffing. It is doing both things. And if you nerf stuff first and then buff it, people will have a better reception than if you buff it first and nerf it later. Because of how human psychology works. They will see the buff as a good thing and the nerf as a bad thing. So if you start by buffing and things get out of whack, then you can't nerf me because I will get pissed off. But if you nerf me and things are out of whack and then you buff me, then I am happy. That is why I think that the nerf first, buff later approach is better. But you have to do both. You have to do both and you have to keep the balance in check. That is my approach.
So we've got to talk a little bit then, if we're talking about diversity, about the skill tree. So take a look at lightning. We've got some obvious modifiers there. We've got percentage increase that you can scale off of an attribute, and we've got a more multiplier there from Wildstorm. If we take a look at the other things around, taking a look at fire, cold, they have nothing that is going to scale like that. They've got nothing that's going to multiply off an attribute. They've got nothing that's doing a more multiplier. They are objectively worse from the skill tree, which just...
This is also true. This is completely true. I have nothing to say about this. You can multiply your lightning damage based on intelligence. There is not fire damage based on strength or cold damage based on agility. As far as I know, maybe I am an idiot and there is, but I think there is not.
Makes speccing into those skill types even harder than it needs to be. There needs to be some revision on this skill tree to bring cold, to bring fire.
And by the way, they are going to 100% revision the skill tree every patch. Every patch. It is going to happen even after they release the game. They release 1.0 and from 1.1, they are going to revise the skill tree again. They are always going to revise the skill tree. They do it in PoE 1 to this day, 10 years into the development of the game. They are going to 100% revise the skill tree every single patch. We hope with improvements and not downgrades, right?
To life at the moment, they just don't feel like they are. Quick midpoint of the video, guys. If you are...
Brother has a bench press behind him, based as fuck. I wish I had a bench press here.
Enjoying this one. You do have some comments about things we've spoken about already. Drop them in the comments. Happy to chat about these, and don't forget to give the video maybe a like. If you're not subscribed yet, why not? Get subscribed. We'll be here playing 0.3.
I subscribed already, dude. I subscribed already. But I will take the time to tell you to, hey, subscribe to my channel, dude. Also, don't be like that, dude. It is quick, it is easy, it is free. You just click the sub button, dude. You get content, I get a sub win-win situation. Click the sub button, my dude. Don't be like that.
Even though it sounds like I won't be. Back to the ramblings of a grumpy old man. Well, it was just a short one, but I think it deserves a mention. Support gem usage. Why can only the gemling equip multiple of the same type of support gem? It is...
I have to say that I like that you can only use one. I like that you can only use one because there are support gems that you would use on every single skill if you could. For example, martial tempo, primal armaments. You would use them in every single skill if you could. Nah, fuck that. And you would say, well, that is a balance problem. You shouldn't have support gems that are so broken that you want to use them on every single. You are correct, but at the same time, you are creating more troubles for yourself, having to balance this. When I can just establish a restriction, only one, and I don't have to worry that much about that balance. There are already too many variables, too many things to balance in the game to add another one. So I like that you can only use one. Also, it forces you to try to think about other support gems when you are building your character and not just say, I am going to slam this support gem in everything and I will be Gucci. No. Think about where you are going to put this one, where you are going to put that other one.
Restrictive when it comes to builds. You have to try and balance in all these support gems, and they've got ones that are just kind of like similar. They ultimately end up with the same sort of multiplication going on, and it's like...
But now that he's saying this, I do agree that support gems need love, but not because of the one per skill restriction. It is because some support gems, or a lot of support gems, I have like a 40-minute video talking about this problem. They are just stupid. You are never going to use them because they have like 3 layers of conditions that you need to meet for the support gem to actually do something. And the payoff is not that big of a payoff. They are annoying and you don't want to use them. And that is also why we rotate around the same support gems all the time. So yes, support gems need a lot of love.
Why? Why make it? Why? It seems just like it seems like an unnecessary restriction on player power and being able to sort of build how you see fit. The amount of times I've thought, oh, I wish I could use that skill gem in 2 places, especially when you come to certain builds that are stacking up, casting the same spell, then having cast-ons for the same spell. It just becomes this myriad of different skill gems you have to manage. I don't think it's particularly good. I'd rather have the freedom to use a skill gem per skill once rather than be limited to just one skill gem in my entire setup, especially with the amount of skills we can now use. It feels incredibly restrictive. Time for a trip down nostalgia lane. Does everyone remember how good some of those boss drops were? Does anyone remember the original Melting Maelstrom, how it would fill your entire mana back up? Yeah, it had the negative of doing some chaos damage, but you could hit it and get all your mana back. Or do you remember?
Did they change the Melting Maelstrom? I didn't know. Effect is not removed on reserve. Every 3 seconds during effect deal 50% of mana. Recover all mana when used. It still does it. Recover all mana when used.
The original Hand of Wisdom in Action, where you got stats per 10 rather than per 20. Or indeed, the original Temporalis, which actually...
Or is he, maybe he's in the standard realm where items are their old version. By the way, if you have the old version of the items before they were reworked, save them. In standard, save them. Because in 4 years, these items will be relics from the past that no longer exist. And they are going to be really fucking valuable. I am saving them. I am saving them.
Reduced the cooldown of quite a number of skills to 0. Doesn't do that anymore, does it? But they made it even harder to get it. So what's happened with these boss rewards? What's happened with this endgame? Well, as far as I can tell, every single reason to do any of the endgame content, the exception maybe being Arbiter here, in other words, the chase uniques, they've all gone. So, and we now also don't get experience from them. So, what is the end game? What are we supposed to be doing once we've hit 92 and we've got into our tier 15 maps, tier 16?
I agree partially with this. He's correct. There are still incentives to do some bosses. For example, I think that the King in the Mist is rewarding. I also think that the Expedition boss is rewarding. But that is a pain in the ass because he's not guaranteed to be in the logbook. And I think the Bridge Lord can be rewarding, but it's a pain in the ass. They kind of nerf the Bridge Rings by making them be rare all the time because the bases were, the white bases were valuable. But yes, he's correct that there is not a farming strategy in the endgame outside from using towers and doing the Trial of Chaos, right? He is correct on that one. But it is also RNG, right? It is also RNG that if you get the drop, you don't get the drop because you can get, for example, you can get a really good From Nothing. You can get a really good Megalomaniac. You can get a really good, the other gems that the other dudes give, you know.
Running those. What are we actually supposed to do? What's the end game? I don't understand. What are we chasing? Are we running around maps hoping for that tier 0 rare unique to drop, or to finally drop a rare that has 2 lines out of the 6 that are useful for our character? I don't understand the direction of the end game. I don't understand it. I don't understand why it was neutered, why every single bit of endgame content was neutered, but then we've added in Wisps as the new endgame content, which quite frankly is shit.
Wisps suck, let's be honest, guys. Wisps suck, not necessarily in gameplay. I know that some people dislike it in gameplay because they have to follow the dude. I just think it is a quirky thing that you can do. It is because it is not rewarding. Like using towers to actually do Wisps sucks dick. You are not going to get cool rewards. That is a problem.
So, where's the direction? What's going on? Why neuter those? Is it because they were target farmable, so people were including them in every build? I don't get it, but I think they need to bring back some of that power and bring back the rewards for doing the end game. At the moment, it just feels pointless. And last, but by no means least, the part that's very close to my heart, having just done the grind to level 100, the Atlas. I believe this.
You are crazy, by the way. We watched the video where he explained how he got to 100. That grind is inhuman. That is insane, dude.
has been designed so that when someone goes into a boardroom to show this to a load of C-suite executives, they all stand up and they clap and they cheer and they hear words like procedural and they go, "Ah, my grandkids play procedurally generated games like Minecraft. This is going to be a winner. That's got billions of revenue." And that's just not the reality of how this works in this game. If you look behind, I'm scrolling around my atlas while I'm talking here, showing you the extent of everything I had to do. It is absolutely nightmarish to navigate. You can't find the keys you want. You can't find the zones you want. It
needs love. It needs love, but I do like it. It needs a search function. It needs more spaces to things that you can pin down. It needs ways aside from the Grand Project tablet to traverse the field. It needs ways to connect dots that are not connected. It needs ways of terraforming layouts. Yes, it needs lobs. It needs love. But it is still cool and it can get there. And I love it. But towers suck. Fix towers, yeah, please.
The experience of using it, even on the 5070, you'll see the grey squares appearing. The performance is...
Oh, that is true. The performance is awful. You need to fix that too. Like, you open the Atlas 3 and you have to wait a lot for the cheat to load up and everything is like with the clouds grayed out. That sucks. There is no way I can defend that.
Terrible. And it just doesn't scale for the amount of endgame people want to do. It's a bad design. It needs to be ripped out and changed, completely overhauled. The whole Atlas is terrible. If it got ripped out and made into the exact Path of Exile 1 Atlas, which worked fine, I'd be happy with that.
I don't agree that you have to make it Path of Exile once, because Path of Exile once, in my opinion, doesn't have that immersion, doesn't have that flavor of actually traversing the world. In Path of Exile, you are going to an unknown place, opening a portal, you don't know what is going on. I know that mechanically that doesn't matter, but I like the flavor of traversing the world. You just have to make it better.
I don't need an experience pretending I'm a conquistador. I'm quite fine just playing my action RPG and blowing up monsters. And on that, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed my rant. We will, of course, be here for 0.3. If you want to be along for the ride, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave the video a like if you have enjoyed it. If you got some comments, think I missed something, drop them in the comments. Happy to chat about this one. I'll catch you.
I do think it is a good video. I do think it is a good video with good suggestions. Of course, we disagree in some, but we agree in the majority of the things. And even in the things that we disagree, we agree on the underlying issue, right? So I do think this is an awesome video, Farhan. Thank you so much. It made us talk about cool stuff, about things that Path of Exile needs to improve. And I hope some of them are addressed in 0.3, and I think some of them will be addressed, like towers will be changed in some way, the skill tree will be changed in some way. I am hoping armor gets love in some way. So things like that are going to happen. Let's see what they come up with. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I a clown? Am I a genius? Let me know everything in the comments below. I love reading comments even when they don't agree with me. Also remember to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, all that cool stuff. Guys, thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. God bless you. And remember, don't be afraid ever, because this is just a ride.